For me, it's a pleasure to be here with you and to have the opportunity to present the Sagari project. Sagari is the second project we did in Peru. The first one was Quinteroni, and then this one is Sagari. But before I start to talk about the project, I would like to show you a very short video about the comments from all the people who work in this project. It's around 4 minutes.
Lot 57 is located in the jungle in the region of Cusco, Peru. It is a natural gas production field that consists of the Quinteroni and Sagari assets and a compression plant. These projects have presented a huge challenge. A great team of professionals have managed to overcome the defiance. This is their story.
Sagari se ha desarrollado en mitad de la selva, en Perú. No tienes de nada, no hay accesos, todo lo tienes que llevar, todos los recursos, la gente. El transporte es complicado porque no hay carreteras, tienes que llevarlo por barco, por helicóptero.
Since its discovery in 2008, the projects to develop Lot 57 have had to consider factors like subtropical climate, local flora and fauna, needs of local communities, cycles of River Urubamba, and the extremely isolated location. These factors had to be approached from a global perspective and were all seamlessly incorporated thanks to a human team that operated like a well-oiled machine. At each stage, appropriate measures were taken to predict, prevent, mitigate, and restore all the possible impacts on biodiversity. Over several months, an environmental impact study, which was a pioneer in Peru, was conducted with the support of Fauna and Flora International Organization. This was the starting point for all subsequent activities.
Desde el principio hemos establecido unos estándares que están por encima de la normativa peruana y los hemos cumplido.
From the very first moment, respect for the environment was a constant, as we took all the measures needed to guarantee safety.
Es muy importante el tema de la gestión de seguridad y el logro de cero incidentes en los proyectos y la comunicación entre cada una de estas áreas para saber las necesidades operativas y podamos inyectar el tema de seguridad y medio ambiente en cada uno de nuestros proyectos, ¿no?
The native communities of the region played a very active role in the Lot 57 development projects. A very smooth relationship was built with the different ethnic groups, characterized by respect and ongoing dialogue.
100 personas de todas las comunidades han trabajado en Repsol adaptándose en todo lo que es el proyecto Sagari, desarrollando el trabajo con todas las medidas de seguridad.
Everyone who has worked on this project over the past 10 years, at any stage, should feel proud. After the commissioning of Sagari and the compression plant in 2018, production in Lot 57 has risen by 25% to reach 5.6 million cubic meters per day. That's about a quarter of Peru's overall gas consumption.
Yo creo que a la sociedad lo que le aportamos es poder obtener una energía limpia, como es el gas, que tiene menos impacto sobre el medio ambiente, de una forma respetuosa. Cuando llega el momento en que está todo terminado y ves cómo, sobre todo cómo lo has hecho, con qué cuidado se ha hecho, con qué respeto se ha hecho, es una satisfacción muy grande, te sientes muy orgulloso. Sobre todo te sientes orgulloso de la gente que ha trabajado.
This is all thanks to great professionals who have successfully overcome a staggering challenge, bringing energy to millions of people in the most efficient, sustainable, and safest way possible, helping Repsol to become one of Peru's leading energy providers.
Okay. As you saw in the video, one of the languages they speak over there is the Machigenga. Then in Sagari, in the Machigenga language, it means a giant rat. Then this is our project. As Josu John mentioned before, and Repsol has more than 70% of gas reserves. In my case, in the area that I manage, is more than 80% is gas. Then this project is a gas condensate project. It's not hard to do this project. I mean, we have a lot of experience on that. But we have two challenges over here. The first challenge is the environment. As what you're gonna see, we are in the tropical jungle. Then it's a very pristine area with a lot of animals. I'm gonna show some pictures later on. And the other thing is the social part, because we have a lot of communities, native communities. Peru is different than other countries in South America. For example, if you go to Bolivia, there is basically one huge community, which is the Guaranis. It's just one ethnic. If you go to Ecuador, basically you have just the two communities, huge ones, but two communities. The one that we work is the Guaranis. But in Peru, you have hundreds of small communities and hundreds of ethnics and hundreds of language. Then makes your job much, much more difficult. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about the environment, a little bit about the social performance, and the alliances that we did with several international and Peruvian organizations. To give an idea, Peru is a large country, is the third largest country in South America, has 1.3 million square kilometers. To give an idea, is a little bit more than 5 times UK. It's a huge country. But the population is not so big. It's only 32 million people. It's half of UK. And you're going to see later on, because most of the country is either in the Andes mountains or in the jungle. GDP is $250 million. Basically, the most important part is manufacturing and the mining. The hydrocarbon industry, which is gas in Peru, is very small compared with the mining. Inflation is a very stable country. The inflation in the last couple of years was around 1%. Last year was 2.2. It's okay. There are a couple of international companies there. Repsol is one of the leader companies. I'm going to show to you later the areas that we are working. And there are a couple of national oil companies, CNPC from China, Sonatrach from Algeria, and Petro-Vietnam from Vietnam. The debt ratio is very small, 26%. And the trade balance, not a lot of countries, it's not very big, but it's positive. Then Peru has been growing in the last years 5, 6, 7%. Now with the last few years with the recession is around 3%, but it's still good. Okay, as I mentioned before, Peru is a gas country. What you see in red is the production that we have in the north of the country, and everything that you see in yellow is where Repsol is operating or where Repsol is a partner. Then most of the production comes from what we call the south of the country. In terms of liquids, almost there is no liquids over there. What you see in red, this is oil. The oil comes from the coast and from the north of the country, and everything else here is condensate, because when you produce the gas, we produce also the condensate. Then Peru is a gas country. In terms of reserves, Peru has around 13 and a half TCFs of reserves, and Repsol is one of the, as you can see, one of the main companies over there. Okay, this is an important one. Repsol in Peru. As I mentioned to you before, it's a huge country, but everything you see here in brown, this is the Andes, it's mountains. Not too many people live over here. Everything you see here in green is the jungle, the tropical jungle. The Amazon River starts over here. That's the point that Amazon River starts. Everything here is jungle. I mean, the Iquitos is a city of around 200,000 people, and that area is bigger than UK, just to give you an idea. Our operation is over here. There are 3 blocks, 57, where we have our project, 56 and 88, where we are not operators, but we are partners. Then in our operation over here, there is a huge river that connects everything to the Amazon, which means that anything that we do over here reflects in the Amazon. Repsol has more than 400 gas stations in the country, and also we have in the coast north of Lima the biggest refinery. Okay, that's a zoom of what I mentioned before. Then we are in the tropical Andes, we are in the forest, and one important thing, there is 34 or 35, depending on how you consider, biodiversity hotspots in the world. The area that we are working is one of them. Then this, if we add all the 34 hotspots in the world, it represents only 2% of the size of the land in Earth. But more than 50% of all the endemic vegetation is contained in this area, and more than 42% of all the vertebrate animals are in that area. Then for us, it's very, very important to have the license to operate, to do the right job. As I mentioned to you, several of these areas are protected by the government, and also we have the native communities. Not one, several. This is a zoom. We are operating in this area over here, but everywhere you see this square, white square, is where we have something to do with the communities. Then basically we have 5 communities that we need to deal every day, but besides that, we have more than 20 communities that you need to do some kind of cooperation, because you have a river, the river comes from here, everywhere, and this project is an inland offshore project. There are no roads there. The only way you can access there is either by plane, a private plane, or by boat. Then when you have a boat and you come from here to here, you cross other communities. And because of the noise that you generate in the river, the communities need to get an agreement with them. Then we have agreement with 24 communities. The main activity, our main activity is over here in the Quitepampani, Porotobango, and of course our base camp, Nuevo Mundo. Okay, the project, as I mentioned to you before, that's the second part of the project. The total project was around $1 billion, but the Sagari specific was $350 million. It took around 4 years to do that, with zero environment incident and just one minor accident in the field. This is very important, because in 4 years, we had more than 17,000 people working there and just one minor incident. Other thing interesting that we do in Peru, we need to drill wells. Then when you do it, we are in the jungle, when you drill the well, you need to dispose of the cuttings. Then what we do in Peru is, besides the wells that we are drilling for gas, these 2 Bastis workover, we drill another well just to reinject everything that we remove in the well. Doing that, you don't pollute the environment. Everything that you get out from the well, you inject in another well. Well, in the video you saw the production, 200 million, it's around 12% of the production of the country. When you consider the local consumption, because part of the gas is export, is around 25% of the consumption for the country. For liquids, also is around 12–13% of the country productions. Okay, this some of the pictures. As I mentioned to you before, this is an inland offshore operation because there is no roads. The way to go there is by plane or by river, but we can transport products only 4 months of the world, or 4 months of the year. From the wet season, right now this is dry. In the wet season, this river becomes a real river, and then you can transport things. Then basically, you need to plan your operation to move all your stuff during 4 months, from end of October to March, and work in the rest of the year. You work in the dry season, and you transport things in the wet season. This is the river again. You can see very, very dry. We did a project with the Smithsonian Institute. We put some camera traps in the trees to see which kind of animals we had in the zone. And you can see here a cougar, a jaguar, a monkey. Looks like the monkey is looking to us. Then to do this work, we use the community as helper to us. Then, as I mentioned to you, it's forbidden to build roads there. But when you find gas, you need to build a pipeline. Then to do the pipeline, the first thing we do, we study the topography, we do the forest inventory, and together with the communities, we see the social support. We see which areas we are going to cross if there are communities, and discuss with them and get the permission to do the work. After that, we need to clear the pathway and start to do the felling. But it's not just cutting the trees. We go specifically and see which trees we must cut to do the work. Then once we do that, we start to leverage the access, to build this small road, do the camps, to open the trench, to get the pipeline, to install the valves, and after we finish everything, we need to restore the way it was before. Then at the beginning was a lot of plants, a lot of trees, and at the end we cannot put the trees, but you can put all the plants. I'm going to show you some pictures and how we do that. Then the idea for this project was, well, first of all, we need to predict what would be the impact. Once we predict the impact, we can see how we can avoid some of the impact that we're gonna have. Not all of them, but some of the impact. Once we define that, we can see how we can mitigate some of this impact that we're gonna have. Once we define that, then we do the restoration, and of course, there are some impact. Then what we need to do is the offsets. Which kind of conservation actions and agreements with the community we can do to compensate this small impact that we do. One interesting thing is this canopy trees, I'm going to show you later, and this flora and fauna rescue that we did. Okay, then we have people from international institutions that help us with the flora and fauna protection. We have people from the local communities helping us. I'm going to show some pictures that for the, over here you have. We have the orchids and the bromeliads that we found in several of the trees that we need to cut. We remove them and we plant in other trees to preserve that. The canopy trees. The canopy trees is because you need to put the pipeline, then you could affect the transit for the monkeys. Then what we did was we preserved these canopy trees in such a way that the monkeys can go from one side to the other side through the trees. Well, see over here, you see the replanting. Well, this is at the beginning. Then in the beginning, what you do is you need to open this, okay? Then in our case, what was project was 42 hectares to do the right-of-way. At the end, after trying to see how we can avoid part of this work, we could reduce 40% of these 43 hectares. Then doing that, we did a smaller right-of-way. This was what I mentioned to you. The orchards and bromeliads, we could rescue 82% of them, and the rate of survival rate was 77%. Then most of them, we remove it from one tree, and we plant in a different tree, and they survive. The other things that we did, we don't cut just out the trees. We try to see if we can avoid some of the trees. Then in our case, at the beginning, we saw that we need to cut 20 trees. And at the end, we could preserve 12 of them, which means that we cut just 8 trees. And we put the signs, for example, this one, we put the sign, this one is forbidden to cut. I mean, we can preserve this one. Once we start to do the work, I mean, we have a lot of animals in the area. Then someone goes in front of the group, making some noise to try to make signal to the animals for the animals to move and not to be interfered. Then doing that, we could preserve almost all the animals that we have over there, which was interesting because after we finished the work, the animals came back. This is a picture of the canopy bridge. I mean, monkeys coming from this side can go to the other side, like that little monkey over there. We had 6 canopy bridges and 1 liana bridge. That makes very easy for the animals to cross from one side to the other, while you have here the right-of-way. This is what I mentioned before. I mean, how we can now preserve or conserve what we did. We get the plants from the area, helping with the help of the native communities. We start to seed them, to plant, and after it grows, we come and we put in the right-of-way. Then what we saw before, then this is what we're going to see now. And this is 19 kilometers. Okay, that was in terms of environment. The social, as I mentioned to you, the biggest problem we have over here, we have small communities. The biggest community we have there is the Novo Mundo, and the Novo Mundo has 1,200 people. That's the biggest one we have. Then what we did was, for some kind of work, we hired them to work with us, in the operations. For some of them, we trained them to have higher skills, to have a better job with a better salary. For some of them also, they do some cocoa plantation, they have some business, they make chocolates. We help them with the management classes to help with their business. And also we hire some of the locals to do the monitoring in the field. Then here you have some of the numbers, more than 100 people. And in the surveillance for all the activity, we hire people from 14 different communities. Well, one thing that is complicated in Peru, but not only in Peru, I think in most of the countries in South America, is where you have these native communities, there is no presence of the government. Then the communities, they see not only Repsol, all the companies work in the area as part of the government. Then we need to help them with the schools, we need to help them with medical facilities, We need to help them with electricity, with water. Then, theoretically, we need to have the government, the native communities, the civil society, NGOs, and all the companies trying to do the best to develop this area. But again, the royalties that go to the community is a very good amount and could be used, if used properly, would help a lot out of these communities. For example, in the Novo Mundo, which is the community that is next to our base, as I mentioned to you, there are 200 families, 1,200 people. We provide the energy to them because what they used to have there was nothing. Now they have energy generated by Repsol, plus solar energy that was provided by Repsol too. Between the houses, they have some small roads. We improve the roads for them to be easy to transport their products. And also, we made agreement with 24 communities. Then this is the generator, where we give the electricity for 1,200 people. That is their houses. Then we help them to have a better path, a better road. We do some government community agreement with them. I mean, we help them with courses, with some social projects that they have. We have also external alliance with United Nations to help the communities. This is a very interesting project. As I mentioned to you, this area is huge. There are no doctors there. Then we provide a nurse, and with this small, this portable ultrasound, then this nurse goes from community to community and does the ultrasound. Then the biggest city nearby is Cusco. Then once the ultrasound is done by Wi-Fi, it is transmitted to Cusco. Then a doctor in Cusco analyzes the ultrasound and sends the info back to the nurse, and then the nurse can talk with the lady if she has some problems or not. That has helped a lot the mortality ratio in the area. As you see there, more than 1,200 beneficiaries in all the communities that we have any kind of relationship. Education. The government provides the teachers. We build the facility, the school. And for some people that show the desire to keep studying and going to the university, Repsol gives a scholarship. Then so far, we have, at this moment, we have 3 students going to the university. It's agronomy in Cusco. In terms of production, I mentioned to you that they used to produce cocoa, but it was a very primitive way to produce. Then now we help them to produce organic cocoa, and they are producing chocolate and exporting chocolate with a much higher price because if it's organic and has a better production. Then this was provided with Repsol and with some external organization. Then here you see some of the cocoa and also other plantations that we help them to do it. Of course, we need to have alliances with the environmental minister, the Ministry of Environment. This agency, CERNAM, is the agency that belongs to the government that protects the natural areas in the country. There are a lot of areas that are protected over there. Then anything that you want to do there, you need to get together with this area, the CERNAM. We do alliances with universities. We do alliances with the United Nations. We have this association with this NGO that is for recycling all the materials that we have in the area. And this Eco Ashanika. Ashanika is another huge community they have there, But basically what they do, they centralize several different communities and try to do work for them. We have agreements with them also. And publications. We have several publications. This is very heavy. Took me a big space in my luggage. For example, Machigenga. It's everything that we have done in the area for the Machigenga. Machigenga was one of the languages that was extinguished. Then we helped them to maintain the language. If you want, you can download. That's the site to get this one. As I mentioned to you, the Quinteroni is the giant armadillo. That's the book that we publish. That's if you want to download. And also the Sagari, everything that we done in the area, you can download there. And I didn't bring this one. This one we did also with Smithsonian Institute. It's a very nice one with very nice pictures and everything we did to rescue the orchids and bromeliads. And that's where you can download. I think you have in your papers. And thank you very much.